next speaker is Sean Michael Guin, who came to Columbus Academy in pre-K. He has a sister, Chloe, who graduated in the class of 21, and a brother, Harmon, in the 9th grade.
People always ask me, isn't Harmon taller than you? Yes, he is, but he's still my little brother. When we were young, Harmon was at my side following me around, almost like a little puppy that solely wanted my attention. Whatever I did, he was right there beside me. He enjoyed the same things I enjoyed, and given that I was 2 years older than him, I was his role model. I called the shots. We played what video games I wanted to play and usually did what I wanted to do. When we were younger, my sister Chloe, Harmon, and I were on the swim team at the Columbus Country Club in the summer. Every day we would have swim practice in the morning and would stay at the pool until closing. Without fail, Harmon would follow me around all day. I would get annoyed and often just want to get away from him, but it was inevitable. Harmon would always be there, no matter how far I'd run. Several times, Harmon would get us in trouble with the lifeguards because he wouldn't wait long enough before following me down the slide. Occasionally, we even had to sit out the rest of the swim period. When we were not at the pool, we sometimes went on bike rides. One day, we were biking at the park, and he had followed me down a pretty big hill. I'd gone down the road a little before him, so when I got to the end, I waited for him. A few minutes had passed, and I began to feel like something was wrong. I followed the trail back to find out he had wiped out and broken his arm. I was overcome with guilt for leading him down the hill, and it made me realize something. It was one of the rare occasions I was responsible for putting him in danger. This helped me realize the influence I held over my brother and how important it was to lead him in the right direction. It was my responsibility to be the best role model I could be. I began to subconsciously look out for Harmon. I would take him into consideration while making decisions that could possibly affect him. In turn, I began making better decisions for not only him, but for myself. When Harmon and I got the Xbox One, I was sure he would beg with me to play with him like usual. However, I realized he wasn't nagging me to play the game with him. I set up the console and began playing, and Harmon patiently waited his turn. I was surprised, but I was happy. Harmon no longer wanted to share our game time by playing split screen. In fact, Harmon no longer was my shadow on a lot of occasions. We stopped fantasizing about being superheroes or villains with otherworldly powers, or whatever crazy things we wished to be. We often had all-out firefights with our Nerf arsenals, using whatever cover we could find. Whether it was furniture inside or trees scattered around the backyard, the world was our battlefield. When we'd get hit, we'd have the most outlandish excuses on hand to justify our survival. I still have an invisible force field to this day. Our Nerf wars finally came to a ceasefire with an armistice, and the fighting has long ended, but I don't know if I'll ever stop finding Nerf bullets around the house. Harmon continued to branch out, doing more things on his own, leaving me to do the same. I was no longer the center of his attention because we began independently finding things to entertain ourselves with. Most would think I'd be happy about that, but it was not that way in the slightest. Surprisingly, this merely sparked even more confrontations, quarrels, and feuds. I now had to cooperate with him, compromise, wait my turn, all things that I hadn't normally had to do nor wanted to do. I couldn't trick him into doing things for me the way I used to. Harmon began to realize going downstairs to get me a snack wasn't worth it simply because I was timing how fast he could do it. When in reality, I wasn't even timing him. Through all of our hardships, we forged a strong brotherly love. Nowadays, we're not as difficult as we used to be. I say this with love. Being with Harmon can sometimes actually be pleasant. Although my younger self would be baffled at my admittance of this, it's true. As we've grown older and began forging our own lives for ourselves, I've come to miss always having him at my side. He was my little built-in best friend. It's not as though we no longer live with each other, but I do reminisce on the days we'd gallivant around the neighbor's pond catching bullfrogs. We've had our moments, some great, some not so much. Harmon, I will always be your big brother, no matter how tall you grow. Thank you. I love you.